Well, I'm very excited and very honored to be part of the design forum for BASF again, and particularly for the TRIO project, which for me signifies a very important project because it brings together a designer, a material supplier, and a brand. And I think the outcome of this project, the 5 appliances that we have at CHINAPLAS on the BASF booth, I think illustrates how materials can be used to bring about new stories for any type of product, particularly for made-use products. Thinking outside the box is really, in particular, in relation to materials and the work that we do in my studio. It's about how you think about materials in a completely new way. So not necessarily taking the information that you're being given from a material supplier, but actually looking at what the material feels like, what does it sound like, what happens when you start to bend it and twist it, and being able to translate these kinds of properties into new applications. And it's this moment between information that you're given and that gap between the product application that is the most exciting and most rewarding in terms of thinking out the box. And for me, thinking out the box really is about getting hold of some materials and being able to explore them. There are so many examples of products, consumer products, that really push the boundaries of materials. I'd say one of the biggest industries that demonstrates this is the sports industry, and companies like Nike or Adidas or New Balance, or who are continually looking at materials and ways to process materials to bring around new products. And this is not necessarily using new materials or new technologies, although they do that too, but actually what's more interesting is new ways of processing materials, new ways of using fibers, or 3D knitting, for example, or new ways of producing polymers that are exceptionally lightweight. And they really have become such a highlight for designers to inspire new ways of thinking about materials that don't just add functionality to the products, but actually enhance the brand. Smarter living for me as a designer means designing products and developing materials for products that actually are much better sensitive use of materials for the environment. This doesn't necessarily mean recycled materials or materials that are biodegradable, but actually looking at materials that can maybe contribute lightweight, or materials that contribute longer life, or materials that contribute stiffness, which also can equal lightweight. Smarter living is also, in terms of the future, going to be about how products and technology and data are going to be more integrated. We already have appliances that we can control through our phones, and this is something that's only going to increase as we continue. And the wearable trend that we've seen is not just going to be about the body, but it's going to be about actually how we physically interact with products in the home, whether that be appliances or TV or the environment. So for me, smarter living in materials is about how we can build stories from the materials into these values for what smarter living can mean. This is my second time at CHINAPLAS, and as always, the most impressive thing about CHINAPLAS is just the fact that you have this event with an incredible amount of information and resources that is so relevant to design. And I think that one of the big things about CHINAPLAS is that in terms of design, is it possibly one of the best kept secrets in terms of resources for designers, because spending only one day here, and one day isn't enough, but if you can only spend one day here, it's a huge amount of knowledge to gain in terms of plastics and raw materials, processing of plastics, case studies, and actually the dialogue and the conversations that you have with people on the booths is just an incredible amount of information and a must for any designer.